Alright, welcome back to another video. This time I'm doing guitar stuff. Just a simple guitar theory thing, just on some chords, because I focus more on rhythm guitar. I figured that might be an aspect we like to learn. Now, when I was starting to learn guitar, I was more into chords, and I was experimenting trying to figure out voice leading and changes in voices of chords. So it was important for me to know what's the root, third, fifth, and we're going to go to the seventh today, of each of those chords, and how I can change one note by a half step or a whole step and get a new quality of chord, like a different quality of chord. And so we'll focus today on the notes of the cage system, C, A, G, E, D, or I mean the chords of those, and just going through each of those. But I'm going to primarily, because I try to keep these videos shorter, focus on the D chord and then try to apply those aspects on your own across the other chords. Now, with each of these chords, especially when you get to G and C, when there's more notes in the chord, there's going to be voice doubling. So some of these will not work for those, but I encourage you to still experiment, trying to adjust. So I'm going to show you all the chord shapes and really quickly run through each of the notes in the chord, and then I'm going to focus on the D chord and how you can change some of those notes. So let's look at that real quick. Alright, so the cage system includes how it's spelled: C, A, G, E, and D. So I'm going to spell those chords out real quick. So, for the first one, C has a C on the root. Then it has an E for the third, then a G, building the triad, then another C, then another E. So we have two double notes on the bottom two strings. So on the A chord is thus: we have A, then we have E, the fifth, on the next string down, we have A doubled, and then we have a C sharp on the B string. Bottom string we have E. So really the only note that is by itself, this one singular note, is on the third of the C sharp on the B string. Alright, so the G chord, I'm going to do this shape. Now, I've seen people do it the bottom way, I do both ways, where there's a D instead of the open B. I'm just going to do this way for today. So we have G, root, B as the third, D as the fifth, G as the octave, B as the third again, and then G on the bottom string. Now we have E chord, which looks like this. We have E on the bottom, or as in the top. Then we have B fifth, then another E. Then we have a G sharp as the third, then we have a B, and then we have an E. So again, the third is the only singular note of that triad. And the last one that we're going to focus on a bit more is the D, which has 4 strings, so it's a little cleaner in the number of voices that are doubled. So we have a D, then we have an A as the fifth, then we have another D, and then on the bottom string we have the F sharp for the third. And that is our major triad for the D. Now there's one of the other chords you often learn first is the D7, which is a flip of that, like this. So instead of a D on the B string, you play a C. So you have a D, A, C, F sharp. And that change is only from taking the octave and bringing it down one whole step. And you have to rotate your hand, change your fingers up to play that shape. Now the other change I'd play around with is a D going to a D minor, which is changing the F sharp to an F natural by moving a half step. So it looks like this. So we have the D, the A, for doubling the D again, and the third is the F natural, moving that half step. Finally, we can take both those changes, the D to the C and the F sharp to the F natural, and create another chord called the D minor 7, which is D, A, C, F. Now, you can alter changes further, but it's kind of fun to play around with the different chords, especially D, A, and E will be the easiest to play around with. C and G have a lot of doubled notes that make it a little trickier. Also, figure out, again, what notes you're going to be using for those chords, so you know the root, third, and fifth, which notes can actually move. So if you're doing the third, say it's with the D, you move the third of the chord back half a step from 2nd fret to 1st fret, and you've made it a minor chord. If you have an octave doubled, you can move that note back too, like we did with a D to the C, and that makes it a 7th chord, or the flat 7 chord. So I'm going to stick with that today and just leave it there, and hopefully encourages some experimentation, figuring out the thirds and the octaves that you can move. And this can be done once you start doing expanded chords or extended chords or alternate chords to figure out things like if you have suspended 2, like, or sus4 or sus2, as well as just a 2 and 4, or your add chords, whatever, as long as you understand what notes to change. So if that made sense, or if it didn't make sense, or whatever, subscribe, there's notifications and stuff, get those going. Drop a comment if it didn't make sense. Or you can direct message me as well. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and check out my other videos. Thanks for checking this video. Check them all out. See you next time.